Good afternoon. It's a it's a warm day today, but the sun isn't like out. It's always hiding behind clouds. So it's like grey skies, and you feel a little depressed because last year in England we didn't get any sun. This year it's been a bit patchy. But when the sun comes out, it cheers you up, and then you remember in 5 minutes, 10 minutes, an hour, the sun's gonna disappear again. Anyway, today I want to talk about ego. I've kind of alluded to this topic before in previous videos. I've definitely spoken about identity, and I think I've even probably spoken about how ego is one of the best drugs there is. People forget that ego makes up our identity. Ego is what makes us feel good. It makes us excited, because when something directly is going to affect the outcome of our life, how we look, our image, it's exciting, and it helps us break the 9 to 5. It helps us break the week up. When I'm walking around my flat and something exciting is going to happen that week to my life, something what I've worked to create, and it becomes it could become something like I go traveling and I make a friend, and then that friend hits me up. The ego comes in where I'm excited to have made a friend in a different country. And there's obviously the downside of ego as well, which I think is what you see at the moment in the world. And the downside is that there is a spike in ego. There is I'd say a fear of our mortality more than ever. Previous generations were building the world. We're still, of course, contributing, building the world, but we're kind of on the other side of now trying to we're trying to save the world. We're trying to make the world a better place and preserve it for the future generations. And everything what exists has kind of already been done. If you see a new art form, I saw Stuart Lee do a fantastic joke on this, that it's the fourth wall break. So, hi guys, the fourth wall break. People in 2016, when that was used in Fleabag, the TV series, they thought that was new. But fourth wall breaks have been used forever. Everything you know and see and indulge and are excited about has probably been made before. Everything has been written, like every single idea. If you think of a new idea in your head, I'm gonna write a book about this, it's probably been done. So all we're doing now is we're kind of remixing, and that's what you see a lot in the Gen Z culture, is remixing songs. And there is actually something to be said about that, because a lot of the remix songs are better than the originals, because the originals have become a little dusty and outdated, or they never really were that good. And then with remixes, we can create a new art form out of it, which is interesting. You have the YouTube montage. YouTube is very, very fast. That's why videos like this are it's a rare breed. Videos like this, there's more of them coming now, because we're becoming more conscious, as I was saying, about mortality. So more people are sort of seeking out this sort of stuff. And with people being dissatisfied with media outlets and other individuals, people are seeking out more authentic voices and opinions. And I think people are starting to work out, I can actually just do this myself. But the thing is, what people think they can do themselves, you see, there's still this overarching thing that there is such thing as talent. And there are jobs and there are elements to life what you need extreme talent, athletic talent, intelligence. So of course nowadays anybody can start their own vlog, anybody can start their own unboxing channel. I've got cousins who are doing an unboxing channel. Anybody can set their own studio up and make music and make something sound quite good. But there is still the overarching thing of that real if you like, truth in art and intelligence is still something what is a rare thing. But again, that's going off. Of course, ego can be. Well, I think ego is very, very destructive. I've always had an interesting relationship with ego in the fact that, depending on who you speak to, people can find I'm extremely cocky, and I can hear it. I can hear what they're talking about. And then I'm one of those people where you either get me or you don't. I feel, but maybe that's most people, to be honest, if we really think about it. And you see, growing up, I was pitted against people. I was in a very competitive environment. In a sense, I grew up with beasts. I don't mean animals or wild mythical creatures. I mean, I grew up with people what were punching for the ceiling. They wanted to be owners of things. They wanted to, as soon as they were of age, to drive and to drink and to sleep around. And obviously, in many cultures, sleeping around is inappropriate. But in my culture, it was a thing of status. In my, I know status is everywhere. You can't really get away from status in every single culture, but in my culture, it would have been like a small village as well. It was just constant. Everybody was going off in different places. You had the person who was going to go play a guitar. You had the person, and I didn't really have any idea what I wanted to do. And for a very long period of my life, I actually didn't really care, which is something that I try to look back on, because I'm completely the opposite now. Now, I find myself worried about the imprint I'm leaving on the planet, because the ego comes in, and the ego says to me that, it's almost like whispering to me that I have to fight, if you know what I'm saying. And this does come out of my background and the way I was raised, because I had to fight amongst, I'm in a small village, and I had to fight to get my say, and I was always the underdog. I mean, there were parts, because I was one of the older kids, where I wasn't, and I was the leader. But then when we got older, I was still quite. I think I've always been like an old soul, but I think I was quite childish in the sense I wasn't ready to grow up. Wasn't interested in drinking or girls or cars. I was going through life at a plodding pace. I'm actually very surprised. I think people are very surprised how fast I've not only have I caught up, but I've kind of overlapped people. I think people thought I'd be the last person to sort of move out of the village, or maybe they didn't. Maybe it's very hard to speculate. Maybe they knew all along. But there was always this thing where we're all sort of checking each other. I suppose it's very hard to sort of make friends in my village. And I think I don't necessarily think. I think we were all causing harm to each other, because somebody got some cool new shoes, and it put pressure on you to try and get some new shoes, but something a little bit more unique, and then you got them. It was that sort of thing. And going to later life, I had this tremendous chip on my shoulder, because to those people, I desperately wanted to try and escape the shackles that had been put on me. But to the people what I was, this is kind of hard to explain, but to the people what I was fighting, if you like, or the people I was competing against, which were sometimes friends. I was always competing against friends, both ways. There was this need that I needed to put my money where my mouth is, because it would be one of those things where I said I'm going to do this to up what they were doing, and then they were going to do this to up what I was doing. So there was a great pressure to live as I was, and then you feel the normal human urges. Like, you feel, I have them now, where it's like, should I, I'm only gonna be young, relatively freer. Obviously, it's public opinion of what people think of what age is the most attractive. Some people like 35-year-olds. But I'm saying in general, being younger is usually more attractive. People find you more attractive. It's like, should I really use that card? I never really used that. As a kid, and I had my bleach blonde hair, my tips. I dyed my hair, and like I was somebody out of a band, and I had ripped jeans, and I was really trying, and I had the chain and all this sort of stuff. Not the chain you see now, just like almost like a sort of like a necklace thing. I think I probably had a shark tooth when I was a bit younger, or I got one and never wore it. I can't remember. But when you're that age, you think you look back and you don't want to waste the time. As I was sort of talking about in the old video, should I really gun at trying to sleep around and really party and really enjoy that period? And I didn't really do too much of that. So there's part of when you look back, it's like, should I have done that, or did I do enough, or did I do it right? And that's not really ego, but that is how the ego sort of can sort of cloud you. But so I've always had to, just to sort of round up a little bit, I've always had to fight for my spot, if you like. I've always been quite a, and of course, there is this thing that when we talk as individuals, we are talking with our perceptions and our own analysis, and that it might not be true. So I'm just talking from how I felt and how I feel. But because I had to fight for everything, I feel like I'm one of those people where when I go into a room, there is some pressure on me. There are some eyes on me through various reasons. I've always, I've just been traveling with Sophia, my girlfriend, and as we've been, all the other couples were very together, and we just separated, and we slept in our own seats on the bus, and the other couples we could feel it. People think it's things in our head, but you can feel people looking, and you can pick up on it on the way they talk to you, and the way they approach you, and the things they ask. When somebody asks you something of like, oh, you guys seem a little different to other couples, that's a loaded question. That's a disguised question. And yeah, that's kind of been my story. I've always been into sport, but into academics. I've always been, I can be funny and silly, I can be serious. I know I don't come across funny and silly in these videos, but outside of them I can. There's always been multiple layers there, and there's always been multiple things I want to do, and there's always been this weight of this panic. I wake up and I look at other people and I think, have I done as much as them? And the reason why I never do this with people I like. When they do something, I'm always like, oh, good for them. But there is always that, and I think this is maybe more of a guy thing. But when it's somebody I don't like, or there's somebody, perhaps, usually for me not to like somebody, I have to completely disagree with their values and because if you think about it, we're all leaving our print on the planet. So if you follow a trend, you are saying, I agree with these people, or that I want to look like these people, or this is how I think, whatever it is. So I usually do have problems with people who do follow the ideas of maybe the mainstream, and there's always this twist inside my head where I'm always trying to twist it. People again can say that people like me are always trying to what's the word I'm looking for? We're always trying to go against the mainstream to be abrasive, or to be different, or to be heard, and that's never really been me. My thing is, like, I always want everything to be perfect, and I want everybody to be an individual, and I want everybody, and when I say perfect, I mean that I want, as a species and as a humanity, I want us all to be, I guess I just have this high, I demand from myself that I don't wear watches, and the reason why I don't wear watches is because I don't want that. I don't think as a human we should have these fashion statements, and that in itself, that humility, if you like, is its own ego as well, which is where you can sort of get trapped. So just to conclude now, you can't actually really ever escape, if you like, your ego, because you need it. The same way I've styled my hair now, and if you look at my YouTube thumbnails, if you just quickly scroll down, I always take the screenshot on this side because I just prefer this side of my face. Of course, you guys might notice, you guys might prefer this side of my face, but this to me is my strong side. So I'll always take a thumbnail this side. I deleted videos in the past because I didn't like the way I looked in them. Some of these go into insecurities more than ego, but there is that ego attached into it. But when it comes to life and work, I've always had that fear that I haven't done enough, or that I haven't done my best. And how I've actually combated that now is I actually don't do that much. I used to, when I first started working in media, I used to do everything. I was doing promotional videos. I was wanting to film in like promotional videos for hairdressers. I was wanting to make film. I was wanting to make artsy film. I was wanting to make avant-garde film. I was wanting to do poetry. I was wanting to write books. I was wanting to write artistic books and do I wanted to do everything because this was my ego. It was exploding. It was like I want to be good. I want you guys. I want the world. I want other people. I want other artists. I want myself. I want everybody to believe I'm this. And it's exhausting, and it leads you into other problems, which is something I can talk about another day. Because we're gonna round this up a little bit now. Well, we're gonna conclude here. So within that exhaustion, you burn yourself out, and you always want more. You're always going for the next story, the next big thing, and it's very hard to sort of know which thing is going to be the thing that's going to take off. And most stuff I look back on, I don't like because I've moved on from it. If I was to watch some of these first videos back, my opinion my first video was about friendship, and I think the things I said in it, I remember it because it's my first video quite well. The things I said in it were talking about the reason why I didn't have friends wasn't your traditional way. It was kind of due to this, kind of due to rivalries and egos. And I agree with all those sentiments, but I didn't say that at the time because at the time I didn't have this perspective. So yeah, what I'm sort of doing now in my life is I'm just working on. I'm not taking so much on, and I think my work's better for it, and I think life is better for it, and I try my best not to involve myself with what other people are doing in their life, which is very hard to do, and it is a guy thing. It's why guys find it very hard to be friends, because as soon as, especially if you're friends with a guy who and you're working the same field, and there isn't that healthiness there, it's going to be competition. And the healthiness can actually come out of anything. It can actually come out of criticism. You can be the kind person who doesn't criticize somebody else's job or work or whatever it is they do, and they can give you some criticism. You can be the rational person, like, oh yeah, that's fine, and then secretly inside you're like, well, this person themselves isn't perfect, and that's how you start that kind of like ratty back and forth. Okay, enjoy yourselves. Check your egos. Don't check them. The world is egocentric at the moment. All right, ciao.